This text 1, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Parasvabhava Karmani Na Pramemsa Na Garhyayet Vishwam Ekatmakam Pashyan Prakritya Purushena Cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one should neither praise nor criticize the condition, nature, and activities of other persons. Rather, one should see this world as simply the combination of material nature and the enjoying souls, all based on one absolute truth. It's a very, very important lesson Krishna is giving in this first chapter itself. You see, sometimes as so-called devotees, because of our immaturity, when we see others suffering, especially our family, we tend to just make a comment by saying, oh, you're suffering? It's all your karma. It's all your karma that you're suffering in this way. And it can be so hurting, especially to when we say like this without any kind of compassion, without any kind of, very rudely when we speak. That attitude is so horrible because it shows our puffed up nature. It shows that I consider myself better than you. I am not suffering, but you are suffering. It is because of what I am doing great and you are not able to do that. That attitude is condemned here, by Krishna himself. Srila Prabhupada gave a wonderful example in this regard. When in the emergency room, when an accident case comes because of drinking and driving, a patient is wheeled in. The patient will be, maybe just, his, head is cracked up and blood is oozing all over. It was because of his fault that he was drinking and driving. He caused that accident. But when the doctor sees that patient, the doctor never says, oh, look, this is your fault. You are suffering because you were drinking and driving. He starts chastising everyone, who brings, the relatives of the patient. Does the doctor do all that? No. The doctor only thinks that this patient is now come to me. Now I just need to see how best I can relieve this person of his suffering. That is the compassion of the doctor. So the doctor doesn't see that, you're suffering because of this and that. The doctor just wants to mitigate that suffering for that patient. So karma is for us to understand why we are suffering, why we are undergoing difficulties. That is for us. But not to tell others that they are suffering because of their karma. Never to tell this to others. Then we seem that we are justifying our vengeance by taking the shelter of the philosophical aspect of karma. We are just showing our vengeance. We are just showing our, small attitude, our feeble attitude is what we are giving up with. So that kind of, character, that kind of attitude is condemned herein by with Krishna. Whoever indulges, Krishna says, whoever indulges in praising or criticizing the qualities and behavior of others will quickly become deviated from his best interest by the entanglement in his own illusory dualities. So in praising or in criticizing, Krishna says that even whether they are being praised or being criticized, still, even praise or even criticism, when it is done bereft of Krishna, it is of the same value. It doesn't make any sense. Especially in this regard, there's a very beautiful story from the Padma Purana. There's a story of a kingdom where the king was a very charitable person. And he would always invite many, 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 many brahmanas to come and take prasad in his palace. So one time, he had invited so many brahmanas to come and take prasad a huge feast was organized by the king. And then, because it was a huge feast, the main cook who was cooking, he was cooking with great purity, with perfect consciousness. And then whatever he was cooking, he was finishing to cook, he would put that in a nice pot, and he would come and keep it outside in the courtyard, so that it is easy for everyone to serve it out to the brahmanas when they come. So the cook was doing that, and at that very moment there was an eagle who was flying in the sky, because the courtyard was open courtyard. There was an eagle that was flying in the sky carrying a dead snake in its claws. The eagle was, flying. And when the eagle was flying with the dead poisonous snake in its claws, little bit of the poison from that dead snake's mouth fell directly into one of the dishes, the cooked item. It just fell into that. And then at that time, then, of course, no one noticed what happened. Nobody knew. The eagle also did not know that this has happened. The snake was anyways dead. But then when they started serving out that particular prep, which was mixed with the poison from the snake, everyone who took that item died on the spot. So when everyone died, everyone was shocked. What is this? Such an inauspicious thing. And then somehow it was found out that, yes, there was poison. Somehow that has been happening. But then there was Brahmahatya. Brahmanas died. So this news immediately came to Yamaloka. And Chitragupta was confused. And Chitragupta came and approached Yamaraj that, my dear sir, I have a question. That the Brahmanas died, whose fault is it? In whose account should I put this karma in? Should it go to the king? Because the king was the one who invited. Should it go to the king? Or should it go to the cook who kept the prasad outside? Should it go to the eagle? Or should it go to the snake? But none of these people did it knowingly. None of them. It's not the fault of the king. It's not the fault of the cook. It's not the fault of the eagle. Definitely not the fault of the snake. These 4 people who are directly involved in this activity are not really involved in this activity. So whose account should this karma go to? So Yamaraj said, just wait. Keep it as pending. Let's see what happens. So Chitragupta kept it as a pending karma. So like this, day by day, it went on. But then, word started traveling. In Kali Yuga, what happens is, bad news travels faster than good news. So this news traveled, that this is what happens to this kingdom. This king happened, this king did this feast and these brahmanas died. So again, this king had invited a few brahmanas again from another town, because this king's nature was very pious. But then there was a flower lady who used to sell flowers as her, duty, as one of her, job. So when these brahmanas came from out of town to, as an invitation to this king's, as a reciprocation to his invitation, this flower lady, she started gossiping to these brahmanas and said that, I just want to caution you that last time the king gave this feast, these many brahmanas were killed. So you should be very careful. If you want to really go, you're taking your, life in your hands, and you're taking this chance, you're taking this risk. And immediately, Yamaraj called Chitragupta. My dear Chitragupta, please come. Here, in this lady's account, we are going to put this pending karma. That she will get this karma. Chitragupta was confused. My dear Lord, this woman was nowhere when the actual thing happened. She was nowhere. How can you just put it in her account? How can you do this? Isn't this not injustice? And Yamaraj responded to Chitragupta by saying that her attitude, her intent, her motivation is to criticize the king. She is enjoying because she has previous grudges towards the king. She is envious of the king. Therefore, she doesn't want anything good to happen to the king. So therefore, she is, creating this kind of, fake kind of news, and she's spreading it and putting poison in the minds of these brahmanas. So therefore, that karma of killing those brahmanas will go to this woman's account. So propagating falsely about another person and enjoying that, judging another person without knowing the entire story, criticizing someone unnecessarily, it is, partaking of very, very severe karma. This is the moral of the story. That, when we are criticizing, what Krishna is saying here, that we are partaking of serious karma. When we criticize anyone, and if you're right about that criticism, then you get half of the karma. But if you criticize someone and you're 100% wrong about them, then you get 100% of that karma. So the moral of the story is, don't criticize anyone. Even though, it is worthy to be criticized, but, make sure that it is the intention should be not evil. You should not do it in a evil intention. So in this regard, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, King Rahugana, he tells to Jada Bharat, in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th chapter, 17th verse, Maharaj Rahugana is telling this to Jada Bharat. He's saying that, my dear sir, I am not at all afraid of the thunderbolt of King Indra, nor am I afraid of the snakes that are, decorating Lord Shiva. I do not care about the punishment of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, nor am I afraid of fire, scorching sun, moon, wind, nor the weapon of Kuvera. Yet I am afraid of only one thing, which is offending a Brahmana. I am very much afraid of this. So offense to a Brahmana by criticizing them, that's a very, very serious thing, and Krishna is saying exactly that.